Ever wonder what it's really like, on the front lines of the American economy? Today, we're diving like straight into the garages, factories, maybe even battlefields, all by unpacking the latest earnings call from, well, you know them, tool giant, Snap-on.
It's fascinating, really, because these calls, they're way more than just numbers, right?
Yeah.
They give us this like real-time look at how economic trends are actually playing out, like on the ground.
Exactly. We're dissecting, like going deep into the transcript from Snap-on's Q3 2024 earnings call, the one led by CEO Nick Pinchuk. And, even if you're not an investor, this deep dive, it's packed with insights, especially if you're a tool enthusiast or just, curious about how the economy is impacting the skilled trade.
Absolutely, yeah. The big headline is Snap-on had a solid quarter, even with all the economic uncertainty we're seeing.
Okay, so let's break that down. What makes it a solid quarter in, like, well, kind of a tough environment?
Well, sales were down slightly, which isn't surprising given, all the economic headwinds.
Yeah.
But, and this is interesting, profits were actually up across the board. And that suggests maybe a couple of things Snap-on's adapting to, like changing customer behavior. And they're, running a tight ship, managing costs to maintain profitability.
Like they're, I don't know, tightening their belts, but still investing in the future.
Yeah.
Speaking of adapting, one thing that really jumped out at me was how Snap-on is responding to the mindset of the everyday mechanic. They're clearly feeling the pinch of the economy.
Right. Snap-on's largest division is their tools group, the one selling directly to mechanics. And they're seeing a big shift towards what they call quick payback items.
So translate that for me. What does that actually mean in terms of what mechanics are buying or will not buying?
It means mechanics are being cautious. They're holding back on those big ticket purchases because of, economic worries. And instead, they're opting for smaller, more affordable tools that offer, more immediate value.
Yeah.
Pinchuk even described mechanics as being confidence poor right now.
He said they're getting hit with bad news for breakfast every day, inflation, global instability. It's no wonder they're hesitant to shell out for that, fancy new tool chest.
And that's where Snap-on's adaptability comes in, right? They're pivoting to offer a wider variety of those smaller tools, especially hand tools, to, meet mechanics where they are.
Right.
It's a smart strategy in a challenging market.
So it's not just about offering smaller ticket items, but understanding the psychology of the buyer, especially in this economy. But it's not just about, wrenches and screwdrivers anymore, right? It seems like customization and software are becoming so important, even for a company with such a long history in those more traditional hand tools.
Absolutely. And we see that in the performance of Snap-on's industrial division, which serves sectors like aerospace and defense. That part of their business is booming.
Okay, so why is the industrial division thriving when the overall economy is, kind of shaky?
A big part of it is the growing demand for highly specialized tools and, interestingly enough, software solutions. These industries are all about precision and traceability.
Speaking of precision, Pinchuk brought up the example of precision torque tools.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain why those are so important and why they're seeing, increased demand?
Sure. Precision torque tools are critical in industries with very tight tolerances like aerospace and defense. We're talking about making sure bolts are tightened to, the exact specification to prevent failure.
Yeah, of course.
And we all know how critical that is in an airplane or a piece of military equipment. But these tools, they go beyond just tightening. They can also record and document each use.
And that data is becoming more and more important.
Absolutely. It's not just about the tool itself. It's about proving that the job was done correctly.
Right.
That kind of documentation, it's essential for quality control and traceability.
So Snap-on is tapping into the need for both specialized hardware and data in these demanding industries. That's a really interesting combination. Now, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but we also need to talk about diagnostics. That seems to be another big theme in this earnings call.
It was, and it highlights another area where Snap-on is adapting to, the changing landscape of vehicle repair. But before we get into that, let's delve a bit deeper into how Snap-on gets those specialized tools into the hands of mechanics. Their distribution model is pretty unique.
You're talking about their franchisees, right?
Mm.
I'm really interested to hear more about that.
Exactly, yeah. Instead of, selling through traditional retail channels, Snap-on relies on this vast network of independent franchisees.
Right.
Think of them as mobile tool stores bringing Snap-on products directly to mechanics right there in their shops.
Right. Pinchuk talked about their annual franchise conference, or SFC. Sounds like a massive event. What's the, purpose? What kind of insights did we get from the call about it?
It's more than just a sales pitch, you know. Thousands of franchisees gather to see new products, share like best practices, and, connect with the Snap-on brand. I think Pinchuk emphasized the energy and enthusiasm at this year's conference, especially, around all the new product launches.
Over 500 new products. That's incredible. It really shows their commitment to innovation. Were there any, I don't know, standout examples of new products from the conference that really illustrate what mechanics are looking for these days?
One that caught my attention was the new KRSC 2460 flip-top roll card. It's designed to, offer a lot of storage, but in a smaller, more affordable package, reflecting, that desire for practicality and value we talked about earlier.
Meeting the needs of today's mechanic. Okay, now let's circle back to the topic of diagnostics. It seems like this is a rapidly growing area for Snap-on. Why is that?
Cars are getting more and more complex every year. It's not just about, turning wrenches anymore. Mechanics need sophisticated tools to really diagnose and fix the, intricate computer systems in modern vehicles. Snap-on is positioning itself to be a leader in this space.
And they're doing that by offering both the hardware and the software solutions, right?
Precisely. On the hardware side, they highlighted their new Apollo Plus handheld diagnostic tool.
Okay.
Pinchuk boasted about how fast it boots up, just 2 seconds.
In the fast-paced world of a mechanic, every second counts. But speed is only part of the equation. Is this tool actually delivering what mechanics need?
Based on the earnings call, the Apollo Plus is a hit.
Okay.
Pinchuk highlighted how much mechanics love the new features and the user-friendly design.
And they're not the only ones impressed. Pinchuk mentioned that their SLS handheld diagnostic tool was recognized by Motor Magazine as one of the top 20 tools of 2024, plus it won a People's Choice Award from Power Tools and Equipment News. That's a pretty strong endorsement coming directly from, mechanics themselves.
It is. That kind of real-world validation speaks volumes. It tells you that Snap-on is creating products that mechanics trust and rely on to, get the job done.
Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground already, but there was one other product that caught my eye, the S8400 half-inch drive axle spindle nut socket. Quite a mouthful. What's so special about this particular socket?
What's remarkable about this tool is that it was, created in direct response to feedback from mechanics.
Okay.
Snap-on identified the specific challenge they were facing with a certain type of fastener on GM trucks. Yeah. Pinchuk described how, difficult and time-consuming it was to remove with standard tools.
So they designed a specialized socket that makes the job much easier?
That's a perfect example of how Snap-on leverages its close relationship with its customers to drive innovation and solve real-world problems for mechanics. And it circles back to what we were discussing earlier about Snap-on adapting to a changing market.
Right.
By listening to the needs of mechanics and responding with these innovative solutions, they're positioning themselves for, continued success, even in a challenging economic climate.
It's fascinating to see how, economic trends play out on such a, granular level. It's we've zoomed in on this one company, Snap-on, and we're seeing this reflection of the broader American economy that challenges the resilience, the innovation.
Precisely. And that brings us to a really, I think, interesting question, something for you to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
If a company like Snap-on, a company, so deeply rooted in the skilled trades, is embracing software and, data to this extent, what does that tell us about the future of work in those industries?
Yeah, it makes you think it's not just about, being mechanically skilled anymore. It's about, digital literacy, data analysis. These things are becoming essential even in these fields where, I don't know, you might not expect it.
It highlights the importance of, adaptability and continuous learning, right? The tools might be changing, the way we diagnose and repair is evolving, but the need for skilled workers, that isn't going away.
It's more about those workers, evolving their skills to thrive in this increasingly tech-driven world.
Yeah.
And I think Snap-on is showing that they're ready to evolve right alongside them.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's not just about understanding one company's earnings call. It's about uncovering broader trends and maybe sparking new ways of thinking about the, world around us.
I totally agree. We've just scratched the surface here. If you're interested in, going even deeper, we highly recommend checking out the full earnings call transcript. It's on Snap-on's website. We'll link to it in the show notes. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.